and get started. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. Danny McIntosh,
Hey, that's me.
that's you.
I wanna tell you how much I appreciate Nile Howe. The fire department has become a, community center of sorts. I know it's had two public events over there in the last week, and you know, people make a mess. And I've not heard him complain once. Somebody has to clean that up.
It's him, bro.
Back in the late fall of 2019, before we had even heard tell of the pandemic, I sat down and I made out a list of 9 different items concerning the town of Burnsville's water system and different components of that. And I made up my mind that in 2020 I was going to come once at our meeting. I was going to take my 3 minutes and I was going to talk about some portion of our water situation here. And I started with the movie Dark Waters about the chemicals up in West Virginia. I ended up with how important that the town's watershed and the Bowling Creek water source and that water line was as we met intermittently throughout 2020. And here we are 4 years later, and I noticed in the county's agenda for Monday night, they're fixing to adopt resolutions to receive some $15 million of American Recovery Plan Act money. Most of it is going to wind its way around and come to the town and water and sewer improvements. And I think the total on that when all said and done, and Heather, you tell me, $28 million or something like that?
Yep.
So it's strange how things turn out in this length of time. But we could never have imagined that, I don't think. And the town is going to get to do some things I don't think the town could have imagined to begin with. But that has placed a tremendous amount of work on the staff and the board and everybody associated with it. And I want you to know that I am thankful for y'all and your due diligence in getting this done. And I'm proud. I think Bill's probably heard up at Region D, and they gave Heather an award up there also. Yancey County and the town of Burnsville think he's fared better than some of our neighbors. And so, and all of that goes to the staff and the town board, I think. So I think y'all would be commended.
Thank you.
10 seconds, mine's been over. So I'll quit with that.
All the other ones up there were jealous of the money that we got.
Well, that's great news. I know that.
And you was talking about Niles Howe, and I've been meaning to say this, and I have not got around to it. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this right now or not, but I'm going to. Red lights were out over on South Main. Do you remember that, Niles?
Yeah.
It was raining cats and dogs, and Niles Howe was out there directing traffic. And I went by a couple of times, and I told David, I said, I so appreciate somebody that would take the time to help the policeman with the lights.
Well, Phils was out there by himself, and that's
He
not
was.
an intersection you can do by yourself.
It was awful.
It was awful. So,
And I
But
much
thank you.
appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay, now that I've done that, next item is the consideration of minutes. We've got regular meeting February the 1st, closed session February the 1st, special meeting the 12th, and one the 27th.
Make a motion, we approve those.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No public hearings?
No public hearings? No presentation?
No presentations? Well, we are down to the manager's update.
Well, I'm gonna try to move quickly through this. We'll start with our ARPA grant projects. The water treatment plant, project advertisement, went out a couple weeks ago for bids, and the bid opening is scheduled for March 19th here at Town Hall. I think it's at 2 p.m., but I will have to check that. And that's exciting, because that is a project that dates back to 2017. And it has been through many, many iterations. And I think we're finally, hopefully, there. So we have enough funding to get it done, which will be a tremendous help, I think, at the plant, the improvements that are going to be made. Bakers Creek Pump Station construction still scheduled to start in April. Is that right, Shane?
Yes.
As far as you know? Yeah. Assuming all the materials and equipment are available, the project timeline, I think, is pretty short on that one.
I think he actually went and pulled permits today for that, so.
Yeah, so that's exciting, because that was the oldest, well, I think it scored the second highest for the worst piece of infrastructure in the state during that round, so it's good that that's getting fixed. The raw water line replacement and the Cane River intake pump rehab, all the design and bid documents have been submitted to DWI, DQ. They're ready to advertise on the raw water line. They're waiting on final approval for the plans and specs and bid documents for the Cane River intake pump rehab. I think their plan is to kind of advertise them a week apart and look and see when the bids come in, where they are, and if adjustments have to be made to one side or the other. But in looking at the power bill from last month for those pumps, that is intake pumps on the Cane River, I'm more than ready for the new ones to go in. That'll be much more energy efficient, because the town is spending somewhere between $7,000 and $9,000 a month just on electricity to run the things. The Main Street water line replacement project, which includes Bennett Street and some other side streets. The design and bid documents were submitted on February 27th to the state for their review process. So hopefully they'll come back and not have any changes they want made, and that'll be good. The East Main Interceptor, sewer interceptor, design and bid documents are scheduled to be submitted for review on March 15th. Shane and I had a meeting after they had KRG come in and camera the whole line. There's a couple of places that they're probably just gonna have to dig and replace some line, but it looks like that they've got everything they need to move forward with bidding on that once DEQ says okay. The stream daylighting project over at the shed, we have the preliminary plan for the project. Shane was able to get KRG to come out and get a camera inspection of a sewer line that crosses the area and measure its depth so that the engineers can plan to avoid any interference with that. And they are getting pretty close to looking for permits and then starting work late summer, early fall. Meadow Road, the engineers were on site the second week of February, put together a final design. We're working with them to come up with the bid specifications so we can get the project out for construction bid. We're still waiting for news from the Golden Leaf application that we submitted, which if we were successful in that award, we would actually be able to probably replace the entire culvert. FEMA will only let us repair that small section where the sinkhole is. They won't let us unless we go through a whole scope of work change, even add our own money in to do more. But that's a pretty old piece of infrastructure. It will be fine and last if we just have to repair it, but it would be nice to know, if we had enough money to just replace the whole thing. The lead service line inventory project, we received some months ago a letter of intent to fund from DEQ. The loan amount's $360,000 with a 35% principal forgiveness, which equates to about $126,000 would come off the top of that. The rest would be loan at 0% interest. I'm still waiting for you know, the loan terms, the official terms to come in from DEQ, along with a, you know, an offer and acceptance resolution that they typically require, because this will have to go before the local government commission for approval. I went to the High Country Managers meeting, their quarterly meeting yesterday. Lynn and I went up and got some more information about it from Corey Osborne and Michelle Ball. And there's a question about the term on just the inventory grant money. They were saying that DEQ had said that would only be a 5-year term instead of a 20-year term. So we'll have to wait and see what they send us. And we did get a scope of work submitted to them for that project. So hopefully they'll get their ducks in a row about the whole loan process, and then we can send out an RFQ for consultants to help us do that. But that inventory is due October the 16th of this year. CDBGI, the West Interceptor project, we're supposed to have construction contracts executed on them before March 29th of this year. And the engineers working with the low bidder Cajun company to get those documents circulated and executed. The North Main building renovations. I have on the agenda for y'all's consideration a proposal from the architect, John Arnaud. Who came in after Appalachian had done their conceptual stuff and sort of put the design plan together to continue on and get the construction plans done, and also to do construction admin for the project as we move along. We do have that money in place. I think we have a training for reporting in
Yeah.
April, right? No, it's the end of this month.
Yeah.
With the Office of Budget Management with the state, but we're excited to get that going. I think John's proposal was really fair. It keeps us below the Mini Brooks Act thresholds. And also, he had said permitting, he had some allocation in there for permitting, and I think we talked, we don't really think there's gonna be anything that has to be done there. So that would be a little savings on some money there too. So, but the estimated total fee was $38,000, and I think it's pretty good anytime you can get an architect on
Not
board
bad.
to do that. So I would just like a motion and a vote to accept the proposal and authorize me to sign an agreement with him to move forward on that.
Y'all make that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
The next thing I have is, High Country did our GIS mapping for stormwater, sewer, and water. And that was all paid for through a grant, that they helped the county get and us get. And they offer biannual updates to the system. So if other people tie on, or new lines are run, or things change, and obviously we're gonna have some things that are get changed out here. They come back and they will update the system. I think it's a pretty fair price at $75 per hour, but Tatiana or Jessica would come and do that for us. We don't really have, I think we can mark a new point, but basically we compile anything new that happens, and then they put it all into the database in the computer program. So, they have sent us a, contract for consideration to do that.
Motion to vote on that.
Yeah,
Motion to accept.
Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
okay, and then I have Mr. Dylan Wilson that's back here. He and I have talked for some time about recognizing Founder's Day here in Burnsville. Yesterday, March 6th, was the 190th anniversary of the date that the property, the 100 acres, was conveyed from John Bailey to the town, or to establish the town, actually to the commissioners, for the county to establish a county seat. And Dylan and I have talked at some length about wanting to make that sort of an annual recognition, and having a committee set up to recognize a citizen, somebody who has done a lot of work in keeping the history of Burnsville alive, or done things for Burnsville. And so we've got that resolution. I think you guys, I'd sent it to you earlier.
And Dylan has volunteered to be on that committee, right?
Dylan's volunteered for everything.
Yes, he will.
We've signed him up. But I'll just make a few remarks about it. You know, on September 1st of 1930, the Yancey County Commission adopted a resolution to name the square Bailey Square.
And I did not know that till I
Neither
read that.
did I.
And I can say this, you know, as Dylan tells the story better than I do, but Mr. Bailey traveled, it took him 3 months to go to the legislature. A month to get there on horseback, a month spent down there trying to persuade someone to take the cause up to the floor of the General Assembly, and then a month to get back. And it was Otway Burns, who was from Onslow County, who did take his request for the conveyance of the property to establish the town to the General Assembly, and so the town was named for Otway Burns, but he's never been to Burnsville, so. And John Bailey was here a very long time, and is still here, so. We just thought that would be a good way to sort of commemorate and have a Founder's Day, and we may expand that into, you know, other things to commemorate it.
I think it's a good idea.
Dylan, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I can be on the committee,
Yeah,
Yes, you will.
but I think that we should, that you should, for every reason, consider it, because, you know, he was a regular citizen just like me, and most regular citizens, if they do something for the town, it takes about 10 hours of their time and a few dollars, they're very proud. But this man took 3 months, you know, that part's lost a lot, on horseback to go to Raleigh to speak to the legislature, and that is how Otway Burns got involved. Is he ran into Otway Burns, and you know, I can't go down there and just get up and talk, and he couldn't either. So Otway Burns got to talking to him and made it where he could get up and present the case, and he's not been recognized as he should have been. I know in '75 they put the thing at Otway statue, which when they named it Burnsville, John Bailey was all for that. He didn't want it to be. If it had been me, this would be Dillonville. But John Bailey was for it being named Burnsville. But there's that marker, and I know there's people still around that was involved in that, and that was great. But it looks like a tombstone, and it really doesn't fit. And if there was just a sign or anything on the square for John Bailey for what he did, and we've got such a rich history here. Just story after story, and we kind of don't use it. The biggest thing we still have here is I'll hurry.
No.
No, you're fine.
Is the crafts fair, and the crafts fair is great, but it's not, and it's nobody's fault. It's time's fault. It's not what it used to be. In its heyday, we had people who still made the craft, still did that, the old timers, but they're gone. And there's still people around that are not recognized that do stuff, but there's just not enough of them. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the crash fire is not what it used to be. And other communities here in the mountains have apple festivals and these festivals and that festivals, but we've got so much rich history to be proud of and to share that we need something. And I got to look in, and some towns have a Founder's Day every year, and it's huge, you know, and there's so many things you can do, and we need something. And John Bailey needs to be recognized. And I'll say this, and I'll shut up. Me and Heather talked about, we need every year to have a Yellow Jacket John Bailey Award for people who have, who spent their life working for Burnsville. You know, selfless, help me. I'm not literate enough to even speak.
I think you're doing great.
Some of them are probably in this room, but there's one that we had in mind. We won't say who it is, don't want to blow it, but there's one we have in mind that really, really, really needs to be recognized, and he's getting older, who has spent his life. The reason we know about John Bailey and what he did is, one reason is because of well, anyway, there's somebody we've got in mind for the first award, but I think every year there should be a John Bailey Award for somebody who has worked hard for the town and the county. And that, if nothing else comes from that, I hope that happens. And somebody that's a lot smarter than me can make something of that can, you know, I know that you've got to look at things that benefit the town, but I just don't see how it could not benefit the town to recognize people that have spent their life. Work is to benefit the town. But Jody Higgins is one of the reasons why we know all this. She might be the second one. But that's all I got. That's a lot more than I thought I had.
Well, thank you very much, Dylan. And, I mean, I personally think it's a great idea. Something that probably needed to happen much sooner. With that being said, I mean, I would be pleased to make a motion to accept this resolution for Founder's Day.
You're
Town Hall.
making the motion?
Yes.
I second.
Agreed.
All in favor?
The next thing sort of along those lines, we did our remodeling downstairs and put in the lift. I had to take out some doors and created a big blank space. And Miss Rhea Ormond has, I think y'all have seen it, graciously come up with a concept for a mural at some point to go down
And it's
there.
about John Bailey.
Yeah.
It's got yellow
I
jackets.
told her she'd had to have some yellow jackets. So I know you guys have had an opportunity to kind of look at that, and I think what we're looking for is just, you're okay with the design, and we'll move forward and talk to Rhea about working on getting the work done.
And I love the sign. I
Well,
think it's nice.
I can-
And I like the yellow jackets.
The Yellow Jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pass it down.
and we'll let, if Rhea wants to kind of
Let me
explain.
see that. Bill wants to see it.
You understand.
Look right down
Yeah,
here.
so, Yellow Jackets, when they said there had to be something,
Yellow
Yellow
jackets.
I thought, Yellow Jackets, where are Yellow Jackets? They're on apples and apple trees. So then the apple tree became the thing to have the Yellow Jackets. And that'll be up close, you know, this is gonna be 8 feet. I measured the wall. And then Jody Higgins, we're good friends, and she has this wonderful book of Yancey history. And, so these were some of the first doctors. So that's who's here, and his wife, and a few other people, and what I wanna do is create it like sepia, like old photograph sepia, and the only colors will be the yellow for the Yellow Jackets and the red for the Apples. So it'll be like old fashioned, on the wall. So, and then of course the town.
Yeah. The way it used to look.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's my concept.
Thank you very much.
If you guys have any other questions, I just sort of wanted to get approval on the design and then we'll move forward with it.
Beautiful.
Motion to approve?
No second.
Alright.
All right, the farmer's market discussion, I know that Christina's back with us and she'd sent me an email and we talked a little bit, I don't know if you got a chance to talk to Brian yet.
I do not. I thought
Okay.
I'd wait and see what happened today and where we're going before I gave you a call about
Well,
West Main.
you know, my discussion, and I think I've told you all with the county managers, they expect to have the facility ready to go by your April 13th date. I think what Christina's looking for is, if for some reason that doesn't happen, if they could have the April date here in the parking lot, as they have before. But, you know, Lynn felt like they were down to just paving. And I think as far as the storage issues, I know maybe you guys were gonna
I
have
got
another
to meet with Lynn on Tuesday.
Okay.
At the site. And it sounds like everything there is ready to go for us on April 13th.
Okay.
Paving should be done by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks as if the paving contractor had moved in down there,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah,
started,
I know.
he started setting up the
Ground
stone.
was spread, when I pulled in to meet her Tuesday, I went, okay, like, this looks like something we can pull into. I'll be at commissioners meeting next week, they'll be reviewing a use agreement for us, and hopefully we'll be able to sign that afterwards, so that will give us the security we've been after. Storage is still an issue, and then traffic, and that would be why I get with you, just to make sure that we're keeping traffic flow on West Main Street, cars coming out of Swiss Avenue. Don't know what it's gonna
Right.
be.
And Swiss is gonna be your issue. I mean, we're getting loaded on that street. And I don't know if the people at the glass place will let you go in there. Home place will let you go across the road. But that goes back to my concern about all that foot traffic on West Main there is gonna be extremely dangerous.
I think my conversation with Lynn was that the property owner, I guess I can say surrounded, is amenable to using their parking during the
Yes.
market,
Just
so,
said that we
but-
can have people park there, and the location's got 18 parking spots, and then the municipal lot is just up
right,
the drive. Home Place has said, don't advertise that as parking, because they open at an overlapping time
right.
for lunch, and we'll be using that as well, but I know.
What
some
is
folks
your
probably-
general timeframe on the market itself?
We open April 13th.
No, I mean,
No,
Time of day.
the time,
Oh, we are, we'll be on site 7 a.m. till at the latest 2.
Two,
But
okay.
hours are 8:30 to 12:30, so that gives us an hour and a half setup time, and then an hour and a half of breakdown time.
the reason I asked, because I knew that you were there in the mornings, I didn't know how late that you went because of the surrounding businesses, but I guess that would overlap a little with Home
Yeah.
Place, so.
Lynn did put us down on a tentative calendar that she said will be going live on their website, and did say we can go ahead and advertise that we're gonna be there. One of our biggest things, and we get to coordinate this with y'all too, because the truck, is storage, and we cannot bring storage onto that site yet. I know you and I talked about it being possible. She said commissioners might reevaluate that once the dumpster is in there, but it depends on property lines, the space dumpster takes up. And then the biggest one is if they let us bring a building in there, other community organizations may wanna bring a building in, and they'd have to say no. Brought up some questions for me.
Yours gets
There's-
there first, there won't be room for anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, she said we put signs up, so, I mean, we're still tight with the number of vendors we have, but we can make it work. We've been on site a few different times, and it's a great facility. They put a lot of work into it. We may bring tents in still, because there could be rain blow in issues. Storage is a really big one for us. We do have lots of tables and chairs. Brought up a conversation about the Hearth Glass parking lot that apparently Lynn told me, get on the GIS website and look, that there's a section of
That
parking
belongs to the
spaces
county.
that belong to the county. And so I did get on the website and look, and it's not actually included on the county spot there. It's included as part of Swiss Avenue, which made me wonder if it actually is the town's 5 parking places. It's not, it's the county's.
It's the county's.
I don't know exactly how many
I think
it is,
there's
but
8.
it's, is there 8 there?
I think there's 8 right there along Swiss, is that right? There's 8. I don't know, I was at that meeting, there's 8, I think, along Swiss there, at the county.
You talking about in front of the booths?
Well, technically, where they put those barriers, that's county property, and
Yep.
it's right there where those barriers are. There's 8 parking spots along those barriers.
It's about 1 car width wide, the whole length from Swiss, from Main Street up Swiss, basically.
Right.
So it's not a car length deep, it's a car length wide.
Well, I was assuming parking facing Swiss, but
That- yeah,
I felt
like
like
this.
that would
This
be,
way.
it would be at least that wide.
Yeah, as you said, they'd like to use those spots for just the county offices there anyway.
Yeah, they have been.
And they have,
Yeah.
So, and I have even written Sam Young to ask about bringing our building back to the Hearth Glass lot, so,
Right.
I don't
You know,
know
the
if that's a
issue we have
possibility there.
with the, I still don't think, do we have a key for it? Does anybody have a
I
key
don't know
for it?
where the key ended up for that.
You know, the fire department used to drive the truck down for us every Saturday morning. and-
Well, I think the
and
police
drive
department, it
The
would
police
bring
department?
it,
Okay.
I think. And then at some point in given time, it was supposed to be turned over to the farmer's market. And well, I guess about the time that it got, you know, stenciled and painted and all that. But I don't know. I really think the key got broke off in it from what, some stories that I've heard anyway. I really don't know that for certain, but I think there's a key that's actually broke off in it. I don't know if it runs, I don't know if it's run in a long time.
you gotta borrow some from the jail to help wire it.
We might.
We might.
Russell, do you think that water's gonna dry up enough to pave it?
Yeah, I think it will.
It's awful money.
I think it will. It's just, we've just been exceptionally wet, but
Yeah, I
I
bet.
believe it will.
I mean, I think we can talk about if we can get the truck operational. I know the people that are in the building want the truck gone.
Yeah.
So we can figure out, you know, at least how to do that and maybe get a key to it, get it cranked up, and then can talk with Chad and I can talk about if we can surplus it and donate it to. You guys are not a nonprofit yet, are you?
We're not yet, but I am part of that application and even
Okay.
looking for some, putting it out there on what kind of funding we can get. to be able to
Right. I mean, I think there'd be a way we could transfer that, cause it was meant for the farmer's market, and I think it was donated, I just don't think that we ever, for whatever reason, it never got officially transferred as far as the title.
Right, yeah, I realized that when I went digging around trying to figure out who
Yeah.
owns this thing anyway. and
Right.
That it was a town truck.
It's
Um,
right here in this.
Yeah, so,
And
I
the
mean, we
corner.
own a storage building that's
It-
over on property just up the street of West Main. that,
Yeah.
Parking there,
this
it's
afternoon.
set there for,
We just need somebody to be able to
Put it there.
put
well,
it
we didn't leave.
for decent.
We thought it
I don't know, do you know where the dumpsters go?
Right there
There's
on
a
the
stake
end,
in
I
the
think.
ground.
It's gotta go right there to the end.
20 feet
It's
off.
the only place you got
That's the
room.
only way a truck can get into it, on the end.
Then you'll have to turn it out so the forks of the truck will fit.
But there's room behind it on the opposite side of it, isn't it, going back towards,
Yeah.
possibly for a storage building? I mean,
And
There's
that's
room
some
there
of the
for it.
property lines that you said it's not all the way at the end of the gravel space that they originally thought where there's a little driveway that goes up there. It sits closer to the pavilion building by an undetermined number of feet.
more, it's called called more or less in Yancey
More or
County.
less.
Yeah, there used to be a tree there.
Yeah, yeah,
There it is.
so,
squatting out or just?
You know, I
Um,
mean, I considered writing the person that owns it to say, can we park a building on the edge, but I don't know how that falls in with any kind of town ordinance and property lines or anything like that.
This is gonna be interesting.
I don't know.
Getting around there.
Does that all go, that goes with that track up toward Jill's, right? That-
the Huskins track.
Yeah, the little road and the gate.
Well, see, I was told that,
No, it goes with the one, the house was built on at Swiss Avenue is for that,
Oh, the new modular.
yeah.
what, the new, I don't think it, what are you talking about the new driveway? Or
No,
you
the
talking
old
about the
driveway.
old drive?
Where where the tree was.
Yeah. That belongs to that Swiss Avenue property that's.
Okay,
And where the gate is now.
well. I
Just-
don't
I appreciate y'all's time and consideration with all this.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say. I hope you know that no one is trying to detour you in any way. As you and I had that conversation at the last meeting, it's just virtually impossible for us to lock anything down with you because we don't own the property, you know, and it is obviously for sale and it's hard for us to lock anything down. But it appears that, it appears that that's gonna get fixed for you, and I hope, I'm confident that it will, and hopefully it does, so.
And Brian and I had some discussions about the crosswalk down there, and maybe reaching out to DOT and seeing they're not particularly helpful most of the time. I know the town ended up having to buy this light here, the
We
crosswalk.
operated one for each side, and, you know, in the meantime, on those mornings, at the farmer's market there, we can get some event ahead signs maybe to put on the sides, at least to make traffic aware that there may be some additional foot traffic crossing back and forth between those, that might be helpful.
Yeah, maybe even borrow the county's big sign for the, sort of the opening thing
To kinda get things.
First
to get
week,
people used to.
first week or two.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Get Jeff out to set that up.
We'll work with you any way we can to get,
I'm just making a note there, the county's big sign about,
yeah, they've got one of those big flash, you know.
Contact Jeff Tower.
but I know one of the crosswalks there does have a flashing light already. Doesn't it? The one right by home place?
No.
Just this one right up here.
Yeah.
And those things are not cheap.
No,
It's just a nightmare after dark. It's not too bad during the daylight, but at night, it's just like all the way from right here all the way through.
We don't have evening traffic, but I don't know how, I have
no, they
not,
won't let us put anything.
don't know right now how many cars will be coming through.
Right.
I know we have as many as 1,000 people normally on Saturday, and we hope we still have that at the new location, so. it's good to
Well, I think people
plan
will be
for that.
excited to go to the new location. I mean, I've heard people talking about it.
People are excited about it. A lot of people wonder, is this gonna work?
We're gonna give it a whirl, so.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Making it work.
Yeah. So there'll be some growing pains.
Yeah, any kind of change brings it.
Okay, well, we'll just, as you get more finalized with what's going on with the county and your space down there, you know, just stay in contact with us and we'll work on either the truck if you can't do the storage building and also the traffic concerns. Okay,
Thank you all.
does that sound good? The last thing I have is the tax report. I think you guys have a copy of it. As of now, in the 2023 levy, we have collected 94.75% of the ad valorem taxes, which is good for this time of year. Huh? Oh, I missed that one. Well, all right, I'll go right back to it, sorry. I was just do the tax report since we're here. And, we're expecting some large payments to come in this week. Tomorrow, we're supposed to get something overnighted, but, the advertisement will be week of the 20th? Or on the 20th? Is it on the 20th?
I think so.
For anybody that's delinquent, so if you don't want your name in the paper.
Come out on the phone.
Yeah, okay. All right, so then going back to the Board of Adjustment, sorry. You guys had asked us to look at possibly forming a separate board from the town council, which it's been the town council for a number of years. The Board of Adjustment meets quarterly, as you know. We came up with some language, which I provided to you guys. The new state statute requires a 5-member board. We could amend the current zoning ordinance, section 1106, to state that the Board of Adjustment will consist of 5 members selected and appointed by the town council. Members' primary residents shall be Yancey County, and they shall own property within the corporate limits of Burnsville, which is similar to what we have for the planning board, just sort of widen our net of people who could be involved. The terms of the members have to be 3 years by statute. The initial board member terms can be staggered, so we're proposing that the chair and 2 other members be appointed to serve 3-year terms, and the remaining 2 seats will serve 2-year terms, so that we don't have everybody rotate off at the same time. Replacement members may be appointed to serve out the remaining term of a vacant seats, so you don't have to give somebody, if somebody resigns or leaves, moves or whatever, and there's a vacant seat, you can just appoint somebody to fill the rest of their term. Members could be reappointed for subsequent terms, the discretion of the council. And I think that was pretty much what we had in mind for amending the ordinance, and then a policy that you would also adopt. Because these are quasi-judicial hearings, you really need somebody that's got, either land use regulation training or work experience in North Carolina, or legal experience in North Carolina, because you're conducting a judicial hearing, basically. So we would have, all members would be required to attend trainings Chad's been putting together. School of Government used to come around to all the regions of the state and do one every year. The one here was always out at the Arboretum, but they haven't done that since COVID. But they do have some stuff online. The league has some stuff online. There's some stuff on YouTube that could sort of supplement. And then we also felt pretty strongly that the members should be compensated per meeting. And that's something we kind of want to talk to y'all about. There's quite a bit that goes into doing one of these if you have to have an actual hearing. And I know some of the other boards, I think the ABC board had compensation. Maybe y'all don't have it right now, but you did. For spending time in the meetings, and it's, four regular meetings a year. They could have special meetings, and then time spent attending trainings. And then we felt like that people who were already serving on the planning board could be eligible. Some places just make the planning board their Board of Adjustment, but could be eligible for a seat on the Board of Adjustment. And that, those policy provisions could be amended from time to time if the council deems it necessary. So that's kind of what we worked out. I don't know what you all were thinking about, the compensation rate. But we were thinking, procedurally how this goes is if you all want to refer these amendments, text amendments, to planning, their next meeting is in April. It would go on their April, they would come back with a recommendation for the May meeting. And I don't think we don't have anything on the Board of Adjustment for their April meeting. So if there's not anything, the meeting just gets canceled. The next one is in July. So that would be good in terms of budgeting, kind of getting it kicked blocked off, and we would have a period of time between May and July to get some applications in and that sort of thing.
I guess the first thing would be, are they willing to sit on both boards?
Well, you don't have to, I mean, we were just saying that somebody who's on the planning board could be
Oh, no, I
eligible to
understand.
apply.
Yeah, but it only makes sense for them to do it because they're the ones that's kinda lining up to get the ball started.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen other places do it that way, and sometimes it works well, and sometimes it doesn't. Because when you come in as sitting as the Board of Adjustment, you are not supposed to have any sort of
Prior knowledge.
prior knowledge,
Yes, sir.
preconceived opinions, all those sorts of things. You've gotta sit as a judge and a jury and be as impartial as you can be. And I mean, if you've sat through several presentations on the planning board and
Yeah,
know the parties, that could be. But we do have some people on the planning board who have land use regulation experience, work.
And it may work out where one of those is coming off of the board.
Right.
And would be willing to
Right.
sit on this.
And it used to be the Board of Adjustment only had to be 3 members, but the 160Ds requires it be 5. So, it's, we're going to find 5 people. And we've talked to some people who would be interested. But that's what we came up with, and you guys can make a decision whether you wanna refer it on, or keep things how they are, or have us dig some more. It's not something that comes up very often.
Well, that's the thing, and Heather and I talked about it, I mean, in her amount of time of being here, which is, I guess, longer than anybody.
No, Judy's longer than that.
But,
Judy's
I mean,
older than anybody.
That's exactly right.
You've been involved in,
Not older than you.
you've been involved in 2, and
3, I think. Well, basically we'll say that, what the Board of Adjustment would hear would be, applications for variances, which are very strictly construed under the statute. They're not hard to, you've either got what you
There's-
have to
there's
have
not
under
much
the,
gray
there's
area
not a
there.
gray area with variances. They would hear, special use permits, which we have some things within our ordinance that you can only build or do through a special use permit. And then they would, and that's pretty much laid out too, the criteria somebody has to meet. And then appeals from decisions made by the staff, as far as zoning.
And to me, that kind of pits us against the staff, if we are the Board of Adjustments.
Yes,
And,
it can.
and it could make it look like we are taking up for the staff. You know, it's just, to me, I think it's really a conflict of interest.
well, it is, and the board is gonna be well aware of all this
Of the
stuff prior to, because the citizens they're gonna reach out to us and prior to the hearing.
So that's my thoughts.
I'm in agreement with moving forward with it myself.
What do you all think about the rate of compensation? I think we had talked about $100 per meeting.
That's kind of what was running around in my head, so, yeah,
Make it worth it.
yeah.
The planning board gets, an end-of-year stipend, you know, or mid-year stipend, I guess.
Which is about the equivalent of that.
I think it's 200, but
It is,
no.
yeah.
No, it's not.
I was, yeah,
It's 2, isn't it?
I think so. Hold on.
Maybe on to 4.
I can't remember.
It's
It's
2.
Rick-
It's 2.
Rick can
Okay,
answer
let's
that.
go.
Okay,
I thought it
it's
was
2.
two.
Yeah.
It's 2.
But you get something for free. I was surprised that I actually got money.
So,
So do we need a motion to?
Well,
approve
what you
going
need to-
forward?
a motion to refer it to, the planning board, the terms of the text amendment to the planning board, for their recommendation, because that's what the statute requires.
I make that motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Uh,
Motion carries.
All right, and I'm done.
Thank you, Miss Heather. We'll move on to, Mr. Fox with the clerk's update.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one item I have for you that need action is John Silver with Home Place, just like last year, is hoping to have a road closure on South Main Street. This year, it'd be just a week earlier, it'd be on 9/21 this year from roughly 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. That'd be all of South Main Street for the, what he calls a food and beverage festival, parking with New Road. And the
That was gonna be
place
my question, that was my only concern, so everything's worked out with the new carriage house and all that, so
They're all-
it's not gonna be affected.
That's their event they're doing together, and this
Okay.
winds up being not the same weekend as the Old Timey Day, which was a little bit of a conflict
Yeah.
last year, so that this is
Yeah,
a
the
different.
timing,
Yeah.
having to get one out and one
Yeah,
in. was
so
a
this is a
little
different
difficult.
weekend than that.
Which Old Timey is gonna be something new this year, but it's still the same weekend, the following weekend.
I have a motion to approve the road closure on South Main.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
yeah,
Thank you,
Very
Chad.
much, appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to Mr. Shane Dale with the Public Works update.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Really, the only thing that I have is, I believe you all have a resolution for the water shortage response plan that I wanna think it was turned in back in May or June, I can't remember, but the state finally has approved everything, and you all would need to adopt a resolution for it. If I could get your all's approval for that.
looking at that, it's still got Ricky Kraus' name on it, do we need to change that?
Did it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, at that point in time,
It
it
was,
did.
yeah. Yeah, in May, then.
Well, I don't know that I can change it after that, Dave. I will think that will have to be done on the next one.
It'd probably have to be approved as is.
Yes,
and then fixed.
yep.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Cause that's been a day or two back.
It's not like you're doing anything.
No, ain't nothing going on.
Do I have a motion
Yeah.
to approve the
Well, that's a motion. Yeah.
water
It's been a year
shortage response plan?
I
And
make
it's-
that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Is that all you have,
That's
Shane?
pretty well everything I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Leslie?
Thank you, sir. I sent out the budget versus actual and the overtime report, I think on Friday. There's a couple of lines I need to clean up, but it's the start of budget, so I'll be cleaning up and we'll be looking at them all. So I figure I've got a little time to do that. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Next thing I have is the budget amendment, and it's to recognize the revenues of the sale of the Pine Swamp property that we sold, you know. It's $201,304, and I made its own line so it would be, you know, clear, and it's called sale of property. And then I'm putting it in the capital outlay in the sewer budget and just increasing that by $201,304. And I just need to
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Agree.
Okay, then, as we're saying, it's the season, we probably need to just, we're probably gonna have to have a few more budget meetings just because reval and stuff, but we thought we would try to start with one maybe around like April the 15th through maybe the 24th, sometime in there. What days of the week works best for you guys?
What time, April the 15th?
Well, it don't matter, just I was thinking that week or the first of the next week.
I love the first of the next week,
Okay, let's see.
cause I've got 8 days off right there.
Okay, so,
We can get it all done, we can go all 8 days there. Thanks, Randy.
Like I said, I got 8 days off.
I don't think there's enough Celsius in Yancey County to get us through 8 days of this. Denise, did Mondays work better for you, or or when?
It doesn't matter. I mean, if everybody's good with Monday, or I'm with whatever.
Okay.
What's that next week for you look like, Judy?
The week of the 22nd's fine, the week of the 15th wouldn't have been good, so.
Well, good.
Okay, well, there you go.
I knew that.
Well, how about we try the 22nd?
Okay.
You
Is that a Monday? Or what
It's
day is that?
Monday.
What time?
I mean, what time do you guys want? 10? Is that a good, or you wanna go late?
Let's say 6.
A bigger question, how long?
6?
Question's how long it's gonna take?
What is wrong with
Do
you?
what?
How long is it gonna take? We're doing an all-day meeting or
No.
a couple hours?
No,
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 a couple of hours, and then we'll,
yeah,
Re-
Yeah,
reconvene
we'll do
May.
some, and then we'll
Yeah.
go back and,
yeah, and then we'll wonder what, then we'll wonder what the taxes are
my
gonna look like and come
understanding
back.
from the county is their, Board of ENR appeals will be done May the 13th, so, and they're working now on getting the, the tax cards uploaded, so we should
It's
have.
gonna be hard for me to budget till we get that set,
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta say, right,
especially with county tax. money
Well-
coming in.
We'll have an idea, let's put it that way. We might not have official,
A ballpark one?
we'll have a ballpark.
and we're gonna know that there's room to have a budget amendment in that capital outlay line. If something, if something does change, so, I mean, that's what it is.
Did we say 10 o'clock?
If that's good with everybody,
That's good with me.
okay, so 22nd at 10?
All in favor of that? Everybody good with that?
Yeah, and it shouldn't take too long, we'll just go over stuff.
Is that all you have?
That is all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on with, Mr. Chief Niles Hale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The call summary you have before you, and somehow or other I lost the totals off of that. We did have 27 calls for the month of February, giving us a total of 63 calls for the year through the end of February. Majority of those are still lingering around fire alarms and structure fires because we are winding down on the heating season. So that's where we're at with call response. We have had, as Danny said, several meetings over at the fire department and have gone very well with public meetings, and we have tried to keep that limited to basically civic groups or government agencies not doing any commercial type meeting space, but giving people an opportunity to have their meetings they need to have and trainings they need to have in a place. So that's worked out okay, and we're hope providing a service to the community with that. So I don't have a lot other to report other than to say we have applied to the state for the state fire grant. Haven't heard back from it yet. It will be a few days before we hear from it. So hopefully we'll hear from it, which will include some new air packs and a few minor items. About, I say minor items, 4 air packs are $32,000 now. So we applied for 4 new air packs to go along with 4 we got last year. So it's expensive to outfit a firefighter, and we did get 4 new ones. So applicants have come in. We got 4 new firemen. So that's built the staff back up considerably. And that's all I have to report.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Hale. And your Easter basket does look a lot better than Brian's. I just now noticed that.
I was waiting. I didn't know what it was gonna be.
I got a truck and a gnome in there.
Yes, you do.
Oh, that's a leprechaun, it can't be a gnome, it's
Oh.
St. Patrick's
All
Day.
right, whatever.
Keep trying, Chief.
Same
Keep
thing.
trying.
Jackie had rubbed off on him, the nose there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I did pass out my flip art approved activity logs. Some of the events Niles talked about, I was got to attend. We got to do our yearly in-service. Our guys should have that knocked out. I also got to attend the blood drive with the Battle of the Badges. Who won? I didn't hear.
EMS.
Whatever.
There is a blood drive there, we got 50 units of it that may not have heard, which they were expecting 30, so that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a good
So that was
event.
good.
And, the last thing, police-wise, this year we got approved again for the Governor's Highway Safety Grant, that no-match grant, and we finally got approval this week to go ahead and spend that money. It's been since, early in the fall when we knew we were approved, but we're finally getting to approve. That's gonna replace the, in-car computers for all our guys, and that's a $29,000 no-match grant, so. Zoning code enforcement, I really don't have anything other than we do have a planning board meeting come up in April. I guess the Board of Adjustment will go on there. We also have a couple of development projects, one of which they will be making a recommendation on for that, for some housing developments that are going in. So, for sale housing.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. All right, we'll move on to Mr. Corbin with the Town Center.
Thank you. Last year in March, we had 18 events. This year, we're up to 24, which 2 of those are 2-day rentals, so technically 26. We just had the Spring Fest Craft Show. It's always a pretty easy event for us. That the building is absolutely packed out. Christy does great with that event. Other than that, I don't have any public events this month. Next month, we have the Burnsville Rummage Sale, which is kind of like a yard sale / antique sale that my mom put on last year. She's having that again on the 18th and 19th of April. Other than that, no other public events in April, but that's really all I have to report. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Anybody have any questions for Corbin? Looks like you've been very busy over there.
I have, yes.
Thank you. All right, we don't have anyone from nonprofits or advisory boards, do we? Bill, do you have anything from High Country?
I do not this time. But I do have that there ABC store, a new store opened this morning, and after we get through, everybody will have time to go down and help us pay for the building. And we are having the grand opening Saturday, the 23rd, from, I think it's 9 until 12.
Any other board members have any discussion?
We talked among ourselves a little bit about these trees as they continue to encroach upon our building. While the leaves are still off of them, would it be a good time to get them trimmed?
I had that conversation yesterday
Oh, good.
with, and I was gonna, just bring that up myself, but,
I'm sorry.
to make sure that everybody's on board with it. I mean, Heritage Tree Service done it in the past, and I did have a conversation with Ron, and he's willing to do it again, and obviously he would rather do it before the leaves put out.
Sure.
I mean,
Way clear.
it's getting to where you can't even see Town Hall from Main Street, but, you know, he's obviously gonna do it the right way and round them and not butcher them, so, to a bad extent.
They do a good job.
I just told him, he said that he was willing to do it, and it was that time of year that probably needed to be done, so I just told him that I would talk to the board and make sure everybody was okay with it.
Yep, I am. We don't need a motion, do
No,
we?
I don't think so. I mean, we kinda agreed on it in the past, but he mentioned it, and it's getting the time of year that he wants to do it, I guess, before it starts putting out. We good with that?
You gotta talk to the money lady.
I've been talking to him on it.
All right.
We're gonna do it. Not as good as he did last time, which was
That'd be good.
0, but
Yeah.
does anybody else have anything? I will apologize to everyone. I'm sorry I was late, first and foremost, and secondly, I generally don't wear a sweatshirt to a board meeting, but I come straight off the baseball field, but I do apologize.
I wouldn't have noticed it if you hadn't mentioned it.
Well,
Pay any attention.
they probably did, Judy.
No.
They're looking at Do we adjourn or just going to close session?
Now you're gonna have to enter into closed session.
All right, so we do have a closed session that we're gonna have to go into pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5.
If you don't mind, I was gonna say for